Good evening, baseball fans. Happy Little League Classic Day. I am joined by the source. I'm Quigs and Matt. It's Little League World Series time, and unfortunately, our hometown team couldn't quite pull the miracle off.
Uh, Somewhat of our hometown team. We're talking Media, Pennsylvania, which is more so Philly, which makes it ironic that the Phillies were at the game and watched them blow it in the sixth inning.
Well, it's still though. I say hometown or local. It's Pennsylvania, so I think if as soon as the Pennsylvania team gets in, everybody's behind the Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I think our
At
last
least
decent run was Redland. So
Yeah, and it's weird looking back at and seeing all of those kids. I read an article a few months ago that Wagner decided to hang up his laces while he was in Georgia.
yeah, I mean we'll see. It's There's this year. It seems like this year's United States bracket is a lot more difficult than what I thought it was going to be. I mean, I've watched some of the international games, and it's just been a lot of blowouts. But the scores don't show it on the or on the United States side how close they've actually been and how tough that bracket actually is going to be. So this could be. I'm not calling it. This could be the first time in a while that the United States actually beats the international champion for the actual World Series championship.
There we go. I was going to say, usually within the international bracket, it's always kind of like just for some reason or another, Japan just seems to just run through everybody.
Well, so far, I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about this bracket later, but um, Japan beat Cuba 1-0, who just lost to Panama 3-2 today, and then they beat Mexico 6-1. So it, they might not be as dominant as they have been in years past. So just keep that in mind.
That's because I'm always impressed with Team Japan and just how well they've always kind of fundamentally played. Now, I'll say local again, but Williamsport isn't exactly local. It's what, about a 2 hour drive or so, up 15.
Yeah, about 2 hours. So
So it's a bit of a hike, but a lot of people from our area, especially in Pennsylvania, do try to make it out towards Williamsport. Uh, Matt, have you had a chance to get up there at all?
never been. It's on my list of things I want to do some point before I croak. um, but I mean, we have a friend that goes up there all the time, so I'm sure one of these years I'll make it up there. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, it's definitely a weekend trip, or you got to take an entire day. You got to go up extremely early, and I've gone up. I've been lucky to go up a few times, and um, for those of watching who don't know, it's free admission. Uh, there's two stadiums, right back to back. So you just got to take a look at the bracket, see who's playing that game and what field they're on, and you can jump between both stadiums if you like. Now, if a popular team's playing, good luck finding a seat down one of the baselines or anything. But it's definitely something, if you're nearby, I would highly suggest going to. Uh,
I just want to slide down the hill one time.
I
I mean, I'm just saying. I want to slide down the hill one time.
it's crazy though. Like if you look at when it starts, the World Series starts, and then when it ends, how just ripped up that hill is, with all the kids sliding down on the cardboard boxes.
Well, it's pretty tore up right now. They were showing the videos of it earlier. Oh man, I'm sorry, I'm having a little issue. Technical difficulties on my phone trying to read some stuff here. Yeah, they were showing it earlier. They actually had to block off part of it because there was a big like sinkhole forming in on one of the ramps down. So yeah, it's kind of wild.
We don't want anybody to launch up out of it.
Yeah,
My name's Timmy, and this is called the Little League Slide. Bam.
my name is Bryce Harper. Watch me injure myself. Like,
Oh no, let's not get into that.
apparently he
Um,
wasn't. They asked if he was going to go down the hill today. He says probably not best for my elbow for me to do that. It's like, attaboy.
yeah. Well, Bryce seemed to have had a pretty decent time for what I was seeing on the broadcast because obviously it's the Phillies and the Nationals that are getting ready to pitch off here in about 2 minutes or so, if I'm looking at my clock right. And Bryce Harper, obviously superstar on the Phillies, but also a Vegas native, so he actually had the luxury of seeing his Vegas team or little team and the media PA team, so that had to be pretty cool.
Yeah, and let's not forget that this is his first time up there. If I'm not mistaken, I think the only current Philly that has been, current Philly who played on the last Phillies team to play up at Williamsport is, well, that'd be Reese and Nola, I guess, were the last two.
Yeah, probably Nola. Yeah, you're right. I saw a tweet X. I don't know what you call them anymore, but Rangers Suarez, since they're at Williamsport's field for the Major League game, which is the collegiate level team for the Phillies, the Crosscutters. Rangers Suarez pitched on that field, and he was able to dig up an old Crosscutters hat. So he was wearing that around the warm-ups today. So that was pretty cool from what I saw.
I do want to see them one time. It'd be cool just to see like the MLB players do like a home run derby, mini home run derby while they're up there on one of the little league fields. I just want to see how far they actually would hit it.
What? Okay, that's you might be breaking some buildings. Well, I'm trying to think because the
Why
only
not?
thing they
It'd be
have.
fun.
Do you give them metal bats?
Yes.
Do you give them the little league bat?
Yes.
That'd
be fun.
It'd be fun. I mean, don't have any of the kids on the infield or in the outfield.
Either way, I would. We'll table that till we get to our Little League World Series discussion later, because I know you have a lot of others. We had some stuff that we were talking about that we want to lead into for the Little League World Series, and I'm pretty sure.
Do I want to go right? There's the obvious one.
I'll show you here what we should start with, Tim. If you're,
yeah,
I think we just need to start with this. Just get it done and over with it.
This is terrible timing.
Yeah.
Wander Franco, if you haven't been on any social media network, has been accused of having a relationship with now apparently multiple underage minors of at least 14 years old. Franco him and the Rays have agreed to be put on the is it the restricted list or whatever they call it,
the pup list or whatever.
Yeah, basically the you're not injured but things are going on list.
Yeah,
and there are now rumors that Franco may never play in the major leagues again.
Well, as disgusting of allegations as these are just allegations right now, and he's innocent until proven guilty. So I'm not saying he should be playing baseball right now, but
no, he should not be playing baseball.
He shouldn't be playing baseball, but he's technically innocent until he is proven guilty, and until he's proven guilty, who knows? If he's found innocent, I mean, let's face it, like I don't want to compare the two because it kind of isn't the same. I mean, is it the same? Yeah, but the Trevor Bauer thing, Trevor had to go to Japan to play because nobody wanted him after his whole ordeal, but he is found innocent of it. I'm sure he'll eventually make his way back into the majors if somebody is willing to take the chance on him as a pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, like, I can see the same thing with Franco. If Wander's found innocent and he's welcomed back in some way, shape, or form, somebody's going to take him.
Well, the Rays haven't closed the book yet. They did lock him up, and I looked at it a couple days ago. It's an 11-year, either $200 or $300 million extension. So he's in Tampa for the long run. So unless Tampa voids the contract, he's not going anywhere. But
no, but even if they do void the contract, and then all of a sudden he's found innocent, the whole thing gets wiped out, somebody would be willing to take a chance. I mean, look at Odubel Herrera.
Oh God, Odubel. When?
Well, I'm saying when he got suspended or whatever, and he was welcomed back.
not
for his
welcomed per se, but
no,
he's allowed
no,
back.
yeah, he was allowed back, but still, like he served
I
his
totally
time.
for, I totally forgot about Odubel Herrera's thing.
Yeah,
Which one was
that was
was
his
he
domestic
abusing?
violence. Yeah, that was his domestic violence. That's one where he got suspended for like the whole year,
Yeah, it sounds about it.
and then he got brought
Yeah.
back. So
Still though, the I was talking with a group of friends, and I mean, I have a dark sense of humor, shockingly enough. I was joking around that the greatest convicted, because he apparently tried to chase guys in his farm with a machine to burn alive. Um, so we were talking about that, and then that we were talking about O'Dougal and then Franco. So it's like, what the? I don't know. But do you think Franco? Do you think all these things stick? Have you seen or heard anything? Or
from my understanding right now, obviously it's all speculation. From what I'm understanding, they're doing a heavy investigation on it though. So we'll see. We probably won't know anything about it till the end of the year. I think they're going to try and push it as long as they can to delay it. Um, that way they can deal with. I don't think he's going to play baseball the rest of this year, but I don't see them getting anything figured out legally till the off season. That way, then if something is to go down, it's not a distraction if Tampa would try and make a run to a World Series. So I think that's what they're going to aim for.
yeah, I think that's going to be the move for them there. So something to keep an eye on. Keep your ear to the ground. Keep an eye on any kind of social media outlet, because if this goes any further, it's definitely going to be picked up in the mainstream media. I mean, not just outside, not just in Tampa or Florida, but this is a 22-year-old guy who is being accused of having intimate relationships with teenagers,
Yeah. Do
and
we? Do
that's
we? I mean, I haven't like been able to catch up to it, but how far back do these allegations go?
I haven't heard. I just know from what was it, Pedro Gomez, Hector Gomez. Let me pull up his Twitter here if my internet decides to.
Well, so I can tell you, Wander, Franco here, according to USA Today, the MLB could place him on administrative leave starting Monday. So I think we're going to hear some stuff coming out tomorrow. And I did see a thing about I never knew he was married, so his wife came out
Ooh,
talking about it a little bit.
yeah, it's oh boy, I didn't know he was married.
Yeah, he's married to a 21-year-old, his childhood sweetheart from the Dominican Republic.
Hmm. Well, good for you know. I mean, I honestly didn't know he was married, so that's a whole other thing you got to throw into that now. Obviously personal life, but now your wife is hearing through the grapevine or what it may be, like what she may even be thinking.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
Like I said, I guess we'll see. I mean, like you said, Hector Gomez doesn't think he'll. It's very unlikely he'll play in the MLB again. But until we actually know what comes about of this legally, I can't really tell you whether he will or not. I think if he's innocent, his reputation is going to be damaged because obviously something happened. That there is allegations against him, kind of like the whole Deshaun Watson deal.
mhm.
So who knows? But hey, Deshaun Watson got paid a lot of money after he was found, whatever you want to call it, after his whole ordeal. So who knows? Maybe Franco will become the next $500 million man if he's found innocent. As a hey, we're sorry that this happened to you.
Maybe, but we'll see if it's Tampa giving out that contract or somebody else.
Nobody will, but I was hypothetically speaking.
Yeah, no, it's a decent comparison. It's a decent comparison for two completely horrible reasons. So lighten it up a little bit. Let's get off of the child stuff and let's poke a little fun at Angel Hernandez, who is back and worse than ever. He recently, not sure if you saw Matt, but lost
21
his
missed calls.
lawsuit again.
And
21 missed calls too.
His first game back, he umpired a game, like one game at the beginning of the year where he was home plate umpire, and his first time umpiring since then, he had 21 missed calls. So he was like 0 for 2 in one day, losing his lawsuit and having 21 missed calls. What a guy!
And the funny thing is, it's not the first time the lawsuit he lost either. He went back in and tried to, like, let me read it here real quick. I'm not sure if it was an appeals court or, an appeals court refused to reinstate the case. So it is in legal writing for good that Angel Hernandez cannot do well at his job because he's a terrible umpire, and it's not being discriminated against.
Just so everybody's on the same page with everybody else. If you don't know, Angel Hernandez has filed multiple lawsuits against MLB over the years because he's never been able to umpire in the playoffs or the World Series because he thinks he's being discriminated against. No, you suck at your job.
Yes. And now you can everybody say he sucks at his job.
Yeah.
So just imagine if you have to imagine a World Series Game 7 coming down to the wire and the series is determined by play.
Yeah. Well,
imagine the uproar.
If it was up to me, Angel Hernandez would never see baseball. Oops, I pulled that up too soon. My bad. I was adding something for a talks later. Angel Hernandez should never
teaser.
Yeah, that was a little teaser. Angel Hernandez should never umpire in baseball ever again. I'm sorry, like the dude is terrible. Like I know we all complain about Laz Diaz and CB Buckner, but like Angel Hernandez is literally the worst umpire in sports. Like umpire, referee, whatever. He is the worst at his job in all of sports. Like not just baseball, but hockey, football, basketball, all of it. Like he's the worst. He should never ever have a job. Not even as not even as a little league umpire should he ever like umpire in.
This I heard this too. I think it was I can't remember if it was during a broadcast or what, but obviously there's pages out everywhere that grades umpires. There's so much replay, there's so many cameras that everybody knows when the call was missed instantly. Why can't MLB implement a thing where at season's end, or even do it quarterly throughout the season, where you basically sit each umpire down, go over what they've done, and if they need to go back for further evaluation, demote them to the minor leagues until they start getting calls right.
Then Angel Hernandez would never see MLB ever again.
Well, then send them. And then if they get worse, just keep bumping them down until they get to a short season single A, if that league even exists anymore.
Dude, that man has blown so many calls in general that it's disgusting. Like if it was a normal human being and you suck so bad at your job, you'd be fired. And now everybody wonders why we get the robo umpires coming into this league over the next several years. We're going to have robo umps is because of guys like Angel Hernandez who cannot get calls right. And then you look at that Phillies game where the dude at first base missed 3 calls in a row, and he was a call up his first time in an MLB game, and he was fine the rest of the game after those 3 screw ups. Angel Hernandez has been that bad his entire career.
Yeah. Wasn't it too? There's the clip of him back in the 90s or in the late 80s where they were playing 3 blind mice over the PA.
Yeah.
And it was directed at Angel Hernandez.
Yeah.
You see, to your point, this isn't a small case study we're talking about here. We're talking about an entire career's worth of just, and I'm pretty sure if you had players anonymously rank umpires, Angel Hernandez would be the number 1 most hated umpire between the players. I mean, we know Kyle Schwarber hates him.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Schwarber, not
Strikeout.
about not about the game, but I mean the most famous call last year from Hernandez was the Kyle Schwarber strikeout, where Kyle Schwarber went off in favor of Milwaukee and the Phillies on how bad Angel Hernandez was.
Oh yeah, the whole you've missed high, you missed low, you've missed here, you've missed there,
Yeah.
and the
He
best
was like,
part about
no, no,
yeah, you're
not again.
terrible. We're done with this.
Yeah.
The best part of that though was as soon as the strike three was called, the look on what's his name, Hader's face. Oh, here we go, kind of things.
And the thing
Because
is you could tell like Hader knew the calls were bad. like
oh yeah,
like he had that look like, oh man, I got away with that one. Oh, I got away with that one. And I got away with that one.
thank you, Blue. Thank you, Blue. You missed that one. Thanks a lot for missing that. But thanks for that strike in the other batter's box there.
But I'm pretty sure he was siding with Schwarber though. Like when Schwarber was going off on him, you could tell he was just like, yeah, he's not wrong.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was terrible, and I'm pretty sure uh, both sides at that game, both teams announced part. I can't talk. Announcers were just equally trashing them. But yeah, Angel Hernandez, work on your craft, man. If it were anybody else, like you said earlier, he'd be fired.
I think I think the next talk about being fired should be this topic right here, and I'm going to bring this up because
Yeah,
we kind of brought this up in the baseball show, not the Dukes of football show, and it's the fall of the Yankees, and it was asked to me what my opinion was up from TheOne on Aaron Boone on the hot seat. Is he going to make it the rest of the year? Because this is now 8 straight losses for the Yankees, and it's just going to get worse for him. Rest of this year, next year, I think it's just going to keep getting worse for him. So
yeah, and didn't Boone just sign an extension a year or two ago?
yeah, but I mean they're almost to the point of like no return across the board for them.
Yeah, it's bad. It is bad. You said 8-game losing streak, 1-9 over their last 10. I was taking a look at the standings. And just to rub a little more salt into that wound, the Washington Nationals are closer in a wild card race than the New York Yankees at this time.
Well, it's not even so much that either. I mean, you got to look at it big picture here, and I get it. The Yankees have dealt with a lot of injuries this year, and this is kind of what I talked about on the Dukes when it was asking me about it. They've dealt with a lot of injuries, and I get it. But that is also the lack of ability by Boone to prepare his team with depth to fill in for these guys being hurt.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. Judge was out. That's your best player, but that's no excuse. Nasty Nestor Cortez has been out. No excuse. Donaldson's been out. Rizzo's been out. Like,
Well, Donaldson's been god awful. Was it you and I talking at the club the other day, and it was out of 14 hits or Donaldson's had on the year, like 9 of them are home runs.
yeah.
Like it's a pathetic stat line that should not be starting every day for any major league team, but yet here you go with Donaldson as the everyday third baseman penciled in, probably hitting middle of the lineup.
But I mean, let's just looking at it right now, you're talking starting pitching wise. Garrett Cole, yeah. Rodon's been out. Cortez has been out. And then it's Clark Schmidt and Luis Severino for him, which is not that impressive of a lineup. You
And
have Trevino.
Domingo.
Well, yeah, but Domingo's out now too. Like ever since he's had that no hitter, the perfect game, whatever it was that everybody forgot about now, including me. He hasn't done anything. Trevino at catcher's been hurt. So, I mean, they're like, I mean, I get it. They got a lot of injuries, but Boone's got to go to save to save them for future problems. Boone's got to go.
And what's crazy too is I'm not going to throw Anthony Rizzo in on that too, but I will get on Aaron Boone about how do you not know that your player is dealing with concussion issues? The I'm just trying to word this correctly. Anthony Rizzo from like last month or a month and a half ago at this point now got smacked in the head with a knee or something, and then everyone was questioning why he suddenly took up off last month. Well, now you learn that he's been dealing with post concussion issues for an entire month, and you mean to tell me that Aaron Boone, trained medical professionals, can't notice when a guy who suddenly takes a deep fall like that maybe he's just not there. Maybe there's something up. But nope, let's
So
just keep trotting him out there every day.
just for the sake of whatever, Aaron Boone's been ejected 6 times this year.
Yeah,
He is
he's that's the only thing he's good at.
he's on pace of breaking the record of his set, and it was by Paul Richards of the White Sox with 11.
It still seems low for an entire year.
It does, but it's just a point though. Like how last year he was ejected 9 times, shocker. But and then the year before was 6. But it's just turning into this thing now where all he's doing is just getting ejected. Like, first off, me as a player, why would I want to play with a guy? Like, I understand he's got my back because he's going to come out and argue balls, strikes, outs, whatever it is that he's going to argue to get himself kicked out. But why are you constantly getting yourself kicked out? That's not fair to me as a player. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I want to be able to have my coach still there or my manager there managing the game. You know, he's supposed to be the guy that's leading us, telling us what we're making the right substitutions and stuff. And he can't because he's not there. He's not seeing his guys play enough. So if he doesn't want to be out in the field because he wants to get ejected, then send him packing. I mean, obviously we're not Yankees fans.
No,
And
but
I
if it
hate
were
the
the same
Yankees.
situation though, if my brother's a Yankee fan and he's hated Aaron Boone for the last 2.5 years or more, and the extension just sent him off over the edge. I still have yet to talk to him about the game he went up to when Garrett Cole got absolutely rocked in
And,
that first inning.
and that's the other thing. Okay, so you go and look at their last 8 games and their losses. There's only one that was, well, 2 that were relatively close. If you want to talk like for argument's sake, and it was their loss today to Boston, and probably their 2-0 loss to Atlanta because they lost 3-1 to Miami to start it out, and they were going up against Alcantara. So we won't even count that one because it was Alcantara and he's a freak. But
Yeah.
you go look at their losses: 8-7. I think they had the lead in that game and they blew it. They lost 11-3, 5-0, 2-0, 8-3, 8-1. Like they're not even scoring runs.
No.
So
And I saw it on Twitter X that Julio Rodriguez in the last 4 games has done just as much as the entire Yankees offense has combined in 4 games.
yeah, he has 17
So
hits in his last 4 games.
yeah, and all the Yankees can muster last 4 games as a team is 17 hits. I think the only thing difference is the Yankees might have squeaked out like one more walk as a team, but it's and is it at a point now like it's not going to save the season. We're too far gone for that, but to save next season and beyond, obviously you're in the camp of Cannon Boone. Do you wait till the end of the year? Or do you just do it right now and just say we're gonna just call it?
I don't know. But just a little quick update here, since we are doing as a Little League special. The Little League Classic is on ESPN right now with a kids broadcast on ESPN2, and the Phillies are down 2-0 in the bottom of the first after a bases loaded double by the Nationals by Ruiz with 0 outs in the first inning.
Nice, and that's Wheeler pitching today too, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean he just put a nice one out in right field. I wouldn't say it was a slow trickle, but it was one of those slow trickle bounces off the wall into Cassie's glove, and that's where we're at right now. Wheeler's at 16 pitches in the first inning. They got runners on second and third. So not necessarily a must-win game for Philly. I know we want to beat Washington, but losing to them here isn't going to make or break the rest of their year because they're still on pace to have a better record season-wise compared to last year's World Series run. So
Yeah, and they've already beaten the Nationals in the season series. So,
yeah,
um,
so it's not a make or break game. It'd be nice to see them win because you always want to beat your division rivals. But especially in this game, I mean, how cool is this though that they're playing up here at Williamsport with all these kids? Um, actually, I don't know how much of this stuff you've watched today. Up and here's another hit. It's going to turn into two more, so they're going to go down 4-0 here.
yeah,
Um,
jeez.
yeah, 4-0 in the first, runner on first. Anyways, they were talking to some of these players as the teams were rolling in from the airport, and a lot of these kids have never seen an MLB game in their life, especially the international kids from like
Yeah,
Cuba, Panama, and all that. They've never seen an MLB game, so this is kind of cool experience for all of them.
it was a little awkward. I was watching it was the Mexico and um, was it Mexico and Canada, and they were up in the stands, and they had a Mundo Sosa there, and they had a couple kids from the
Yeah,
Australian team, and the guy asked the kid, "Oh, what's it like being around major leaguers?" She's like, "Yeah, it's cool."
yeah.
Yeah, just like the most nonchalant. Like, I don't know if he was nervous or if he just didn't want to talk, but it was just a full 20 seconds of just straight awkward.
I mean, you gotta. We
I'd
can
be
sit here.
nervous.
I would say we can sit here and say what we want, but we'd be if we were in their shoes at 12 years old, we'd be nervous talking to these guys too.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if it was nerves. I don't know if he just didn't know what to say, or if I didn't know he didn't want to be there.
Yeah, I think it'd be nerves.
I'd
You
be
got,
nerves.
I mean, you got all these cameras on you. You got all these people up there. Now you're sitting next to a major league baseball player. Like this is your dream that you want to be an MLB player, and you're at the Little League World Series hanging out with them. Like it's kind of cool
Yeah, like
for
just imagine,
everybody.
like imagine you're 12 years old and you look up into the stands, like you're running out to take the home half of the inning, whatever. Phillies in the red jerseys, and you see Bryce Harper doing the ball juggle, trying to hype everybody up.
Well, that and I
You
mean,
spend
I,
like these
I
kids have
think
the
I
stands rooting for these guys, and now here these guys are rooting for them.
well, so here's the thing, right? So you can sit here like even as Phillies fans, like so I watched the team arrivals when they came in and watching all the kids like have like a tunnel for these players to walk down and just the excitement that all of them have. It not so much even seeing like Bryce Harper involved, but the whole league has really taken this and accepted it, and it's pretty neat across the board. And kudos even to Washington. I mean, they, they had Dominic Smith, who is their first baseman or whatever. He
Uh-huh.
he's sitting on the bus next to these two kids, and they asked him like, "Oh, so what have you gotten for gifts so far?" He goes, "Oh, I got all these pins, but nobody's willing to trade me a hat, and I really want a hat. So I'm hoping by the time the night's over, I get a Little League World Series hat out of this." So it's kind of funny, like because he was talking to Tim Kirchin and just like who knew a hat like of all
Yeah,
things the one is a hat like the dude has so much money that he could probably buy all of them and he just wants one of these 12-year-olds to trade him a hat
I mean
like
that's what I've been seeing too. Is like they Garrett Stubbs was mic'd up or whatever, and he was going around like he'll trade like hats with the kids or whatever, and then
yeah,
have the kids sign the back of his jersey.
yeah,
Like, and he's joking with the kids, like, "You've been working on your signature yet?"
well Rutschman did that last year
Oh, did
when
he?
Baltimore was up there. He had he had his Rutschman 35 jersey on or whatever, and all the kids were signing the back of his jersey. I don't know if he ended up wearing it or not for the game, but it was kind of cool. So
That would be pretty cool if they let him wear it, because they're actually allowing the guys to do a little bit of customization stuff for this game.
did you
And
see they were showing like
Bryce,
the year that
go ahead.
the Mets played, uh, Syndergaard had Thor on the back of his.
Oh yeah, they did the nicknames.
Yeah, Uh,
I saw Alec Boehm has a number 2 pencil bat, so it looks like the big yellow
yeah,
pencil, and the top's the
yeah.
eraser head.
I think both teams were doing custom bats for this game.
I think Stott has a custom pair of shoes, but it's. I wish they would allow a little bit more of that during the regular season, but it's cool that they get to do it now with all the kids there.
So, okay, so before we get into what we have here about the talk around the league, let me ask you this question though, since we're kind of talking about it. Pick one player from the Nationals and one player from the Phillies who you think is like a kid for each team.
Um,
Just
Phoenix Nationals, I just
just
don't know.
their
I mean, I'm going to say
just their
Garrett
personality,
Stubbs.
just for their personalities, like from everything. Like, who do you think from each team?
Like, I think we mentioned something about it last time. I think my first guess was Marsh, but I think I have to go with Garrett Stubbs. Stubbs seems like a kind of a little bit of a goofball in a good way. For the Nats, I mean, Joey Meneses was having a lot of excitement being up in the booth during the Mexico game. So uh, he was sitting there when Mexico was down. And bases loaded and everything. They were talking about, if Mexico loses this game, Meneses just cuts in, nah, Mexico's winning this one, man. Don't bet
Uh,
against Mexico.
So I'll tell you, just from personality wise, it's got to be Bryson Stott for the Phillies. Just because,
Okay.
like, he seems like he is just goofy. You know what I mean? Like, just kind of like goofy kid. And then you're gonna laugh a little bit, but I think C.J. Abrams from the Nationals, or even better,
I get that.
Kyle Finnegan. Kyle Finnegan. I don't know if you got to see any of his interview that they did earlier, but Kyle Finnegan's interview while he was in the stands, he's got this 12-year-old kid interviewing him, and he's like, "My favorite pitch is the heater, baby, number one." The kid's like, "Well, how fast? How fast is he?" He goes, "I hit 100 miles per hour once. That was pretty cool." So I'll say Finnegan. I'll say Stott and Finnegan
That would
as the
be
two
I could
kids.
I could see that. That would be cool. I just think like I just think Stubbs, like, he's a bit of a goofball in the clubhouse. He's the one who puts together the playlist for the Phillies when they win. And during that whole stretch last year, um, I'm trying to remember too, like they were doing interviews on the bus ride over, and he was talking about the kids. Like it was cool. He was like, "Hey, listen, I know you guys like lost these two, but you did a whole bunch of winning just to get here. Like
Yeah,
when I was in little league, like we made it to districts and we lost. We got to like states one year and then we lost. Like it was always my dream to just be where you guys are as a kid. It,
well,
I mean, he's like, yeah, listen, man, like I understand you lost and it sucks to lose. You had to do a whole heck of a lot just to get here, and only 20 teams in the world get to do it. And here you are doing it.
agreed. So let's get a little bit in here before we get into the Little League World Series about stuff that's been going around the league. I know the one thing you wanted to talk about was the Lorenzen no hitter, which was pretty
Yeah.
cool. I actually called it live while we were doing the Dukes of football while it was happening. I said, "Oh, look, Phillies just threw no hitter." So that was 2 weeks ago now.
Yeah, about 2 weeks. His second start as a Philly and his first start in Citizens Bank. So 125 pitches, the longest he's ever pitched in a game, the most pitches he's thrown in the game, and probably didn't help him for his second start, but or his third start, I should say. But it was a pretty magical night.
Yeah, some other news from baseball today. Uh, Dallas Keuchel took a perfect game into the seventh inning when he gave up his first hit. He was pulled after 6.1, and the Twins ended up winning the game 2-0 against the Pirates. I believe if he would have gotten it, wouldn't that have been his second perfect game?
His perfect game?
I thought for sure
He
Keuchel
probably
had one
threw
before,
one with I know it would have definitely been with the Astros.
or
I
was he part of a team
might
no
have been a
hitter?
combined.
Yeah, I don't remember, but I mean that was kind of cool. And then the one thing I wanted to touch on, and I know you have seen some of the videos because I showed you. What is up with all these inside the park home runs? They just had another one today in the Oakland game.
Yeah, I saw that with the crazy bounce in left center.
Yeah,
But the first one, though, the immediate one is De La Cruz. But
The triple with the error.
the triple, I still think that was an error on the right field because that was an
They call
absolute
that's what they
terrible
called it.
throw in.
They called it
Oh,
a triple with a they called it a triple with an error, but I mean we'll call it the Little League uh
that's fine. Call it a little
Little
league
League World
inside the
Series.
Parker.
Yeah, because I mean it
That's
was a
fine.
Little League throw, but let's go back. So last Wednesday we were talking, or I think it was I showed you the video of the one in San Francisco where the ball he hit the ball more right center and it took two bounces off the top of the wall and it went all the way over to left field then and he scored the inside the park home run on that one.
Yeah, like a lot of these inside the park home runs, it's a lucky bounce or the guy's flying. And the lucky bounce ones, in my opinion, are just the more fun ones to watch, just because it just goes off the rail. Just go. Name me another time you're going to see a ball bounce perfectly parallel on the wall and not go over for a ground.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just waiting for one in Baltimore to get trapped up in that stupid left field that they did, because I'm fairly positive it cut from the bullpen. It cuts into the right a little bit, so I'm just waiting for something to get stuck around in there.
yeah, I mean, we're seeing a lot of inside the park home runs even in the minors now too. So, and you're talking. So the one that I was talking about was from Luke Rowley. It was a 425-foot inside the park home run that included the bounce across the top of the wall. At 425 feet, folks, that's normally out of the park.
Yeah, any other part of the park, it's gone.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a couple of them in the World Baseball Classic too to start the year.
Yeah, that's right.
Frank,
There were a couple. Did Turner have one?
I don't remember, but I know
Well, I mean, he had a. I'm
Lindor
just
had
trying
that
to.
one.
Yeah, Lindor did. I was just thinking Turner because went off for the World Baseball Classic. Then as soon as he got to Philly, he forgot how to hit.
Yeah. So I mean,
Yay.
I just think we're seeing a lot of inside the parkers, a lot of guys with speed running the bases, and I mean, I'll count De La Cruz's as a home run, even though the throw was bad, but because I mean that's still impressive. That dude like literally stopped at third for a split second and just took off again. Like, and
Yeah.
he probably should have been thrown out at home.
It wouldn't shock me if you start seeing a few more, or at least the way that the average player seems to be now, where they like the De La Cruzes that have both power and speed. So you may not see as many funky off the wall ones, but I could see a lot more ones just getting shot into gaps and guys just flying. Especially if you're in a ballpark like San Francisco or Oakland could be one. Colorado, they've got a deep left center, so I'd say if I'm gonna put a bet on where the next one's gonna happen, I'd say in one of those three ballparks.
Yeah, I
That,
mean, it's just weird, like how many there are though. Like even go look at the minor leagues. Like I googled real quick about inside the park home runs in 2023, and there's a lot happening even down in the minors. I don't know what it is. Is it because we've had this discussion in the past about the new ball that they put in play? Is that why we're not getting the actual long 440-foot home runs and they're just staying in the park, or are we at that time of year where the weather is just not home run favored?
just the guy. I'm thinking it's just the player, the way that they're built now, just power and speed.
Yeah. Well,
Like your traditional speedy guy who just kind of slaps it into the gap is molding into a guy who's driving the ball into the gap instead of just slapping, and the speed's still there. So by the time the outfielder's getting the ball, they could be rounding second, going to the third. And then if you flub one little thing, there you go. There's your home run.
who would have thought that we'd
So,
have a discussion about inside the park home runs on a Sunday night?
hey, Little League home runs, Little League World Series, Little League Classic. That's what we do here.
Well, since
You
you
want to
just mentioned it,
let's do it.
let's just go right into it. Little League World Series going on right now. And we're going to add this little bad boy here. And here's our current bracket. I know it's a little difficult to see. Actually, we can just make it so no, we can still talk. People just can't see us, which, hey, might not be a bad thing on their part. So What stands out to you so far, Tim? On the left-hand side, what you're looking at is the United States bracket. On the right-hand side is the international bracket.
Yeah.
So what currently stands out to you from both sides of the bracket?
I mean, the first thing that jumps out is that Northeast Northwest against New England going
Yeah,
10-0. Panama. Let's see, Japan. I expect Japan to always be. Yeah, they had a good showing there for a little bit. Eventually Canada today losing 10-1 to Mexico, but um, Canada going up there and getting through a couple games. Of course, they have a tough time. That Asia Pacific team looks really good.
yeah.
Let's see, Metro Region's the one who beat Mid Atlantic. That was today's game. What was that? Southwest and
Well,
Midwest.
you have Mountain and Midwest that played today, or yeah, they played today. That was game 20. Mountain beat the Midwest 7-1, so they move on. Midwest is eliminated. Um, Southwest beat the Midwest
Who's
6
Metro
to 2.
Region?
Who's the Metro region? That's Connecticut.
I don't remember Metro Region.
That's Connecticut.
I thought they'd be New England.
No, don't
Did
ask
they
me how.
realign?
I don't know how they did it, but I know like Metro region is Connecticut this year.
Huh. Yeah, because I'm just trying to remember here. Like, obviously, the Asian teams are still everything from what I remember, and then when I went up there and looking at it today, and they're showing, Metro and uh, Metro, and what was the other one? I thought. That's the only one that's sticking out to me there. But I was really pulling for Pennsylvania and the Mid Atlantic to just make a run like they did before, but
I mean they've played
wasn't
so
quite
far.
there.
They played 3 tough games so far this year in the World Series itself, and for them to get into the World Series itself was kind of cool. We saw it in person, sitting there watching on TV, the 2-run home run to send them to
In
Williamsport.
this, was that in the sixth or the seventh? Because they were getting no hit up to that point.
I was in the
Their
6th
first
inning.
hit of the game was
It
that
was a
walk
game
off.
winning. Yeah, it was the game winning 2-run home run. So we've had a lot of excitement leading up to it. But the one thing that sticks out to me, and I'm going to point it out on the right hand side here, is how about the final four in general in the international bracket?
Yeah, it's Caribbean's
Just in
always
general.
good. Yeah, just from anything you can remember about past Little League World Series, Latin America is always good. Japan just always cruises through these things. Asia Pacific this year, uh, look here before that 6-0 game against Canada. Did they play another game, or am I thinking of somebody else they may have walloped?
Somebody else said they might have walled because that was their first game in Williamsport was the game against Canada. And how about
Okay,
and how about Canada though? I mean, yeah, they lost 2
they had a
big
good
games.
showing though.
They showed up. Just not in those 2 games, but they showed up to get there.
But then again, too, like you're talking, Canada. When you think Canada, you're not thinking, baseball or little league, and them up against Japan, who is just fundamental baseball all the time. Like, oh wait, no, that was Cuba. My eyes are going. They went against Asia Pacific, but same thing. Baseball in the Asian continents just seems to be something that's taught. That's just the sport everyone goes to. It seems like.
I really feel bad for Team Panama. I thought they were going to be a sleeper pick for the international side of the bracket just because, man, like even today against Cuba, they fought hard and they almost blew that game, but they just kept battling and battling and battling, and they pulled that one off today. I think if they could have had just a better matchup and not had to play Latin America in their second game, I think they had a better shot.
Yeah, it's just those international brackets too. Just those, like you were saying earlier, the United States and the United States side has look stronger than years past. But the international bracket is just always competitive, and it just always seems like the better teams come out of that side, especially
Well,
between the Caribbeans, the Latin Americas, and the Asian side, like those three specifically.
well, I'm gonna call my shot here just because I want to. Because I know I kind of was talking about it earlier. And I said I wasn't at that point. I wasn't making a pick, but I think on the United States side, I think the best team, period, is that Northwest team. It is hard.
Hmm.
I think they're probably going to be the toughest out. And I really want to see that Northwest Southeast game because both teams can score a lot of runs, and they proved it in their two games so far, or each of their games so far. And
Yeah,
on that international bracket, I'm calling the upset. Asia Pacific is going to the World Series
over Japan.
over
Yeah, it's
everybody.
gonna be.
I think they're gonna beat Japan, and then I think they're gonna get matched up with Latin America. And I just think there's just something about that Asia Pacific team this year that just makes you go, okay, yep, I think that's they're it this year. They're the international team. But I think the winner of the actual World Series this year is coming from the United States.
See, let's see if I'm picking one. Up with Mid Atlantic being out, I've always liked the West. The Western Little League teams always seem to be on top of the game. Uh, but Southeast and who's that? Is that Northeast or Northwest up there in the green?
Northwest, Southeast Northwest matchup.
Yeah, that's going to be. I think that's good. If it gets to that, if West doesn't get in the way,
Here, I'll zoom in for you.
that's thank you. My eyes are not as good anymore.
Yeah,
My wife even called me blind earlier, so just reaffirming that.
yeah.
So yeah, unless West goes up and again, I think that one's going to be a game to watch tomorrow. Outside of Asia Pacific and Japan, but that West Southwest game is going to be a good one.
So who do you think wins from the United States, and who do you have winning against in the international, and who do you think is going to be the overall champion? Because obviously, between now and the next time we would possibly do a show, the Little League World Series should be over.
Yeah, it looks like that game's going to be on the 27th, so it's a week from now. Um, give me, give me. I'll go. I'll go crazy a little bit. Give me the West coming out of the United States side. If they're just going to get on a roll, I feel like, especially with these teams that go out and they do everything early, they get a little bit ahead, and sometimes you see somebody sneak up out of nowhere and just hold them close, kind of like what happened to Redland a few years ago.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm just I think Asia Pacific is gonna be like a West Asia Pacific type of matchup, and I think Asia Pacific's gonna win it. If Asia
So we're
Pacific gets past Japan, Asia Pacific's gonna win it all.
so we're both on the same page. We both think Asia Pacific is going to go from the international side, and we're both different on the United States side. But we agree though that Northwest and Southeast matchup might be the game of the tournament. To be honest with you,
Yeah, it's
like
definitely
across the whole bracket, that might be the best game.
it's definitely going to be up there for sure. Do you think it's going to be more of a offensive show, or do you think the pitching is going to show up?
Well, it depends. I mean, so with Northwest winning 10-0,
Ki-
I'm sure they were able to save their pitching a little bit. And with Southeast winning 8-1, again, they probably were able to save their pitching a little bit. So you might see their two best pitchers facing each other.
Depends.
Just right, and it depends on how long they'd be able to pitch for. Because you mean
Yeah,
they got pitch counts and all this other stuff. So I think it could be early on. It might not be too high scoring, but I think it's going to be like a 6-5, 7-6 type game. It's just it has that feeling that it could
yeah,
be.
it's going to be like a one run.
Yeah, and then like the same with that, like the West Southwest game. Again, not taking anything away from the West or the Southwest. I think I am with you. I think the West is pretty good. They can be sneaky good. It's going to be another one of these close games, but I don't think it's going to be high scoring.
No, I think the high scoring game's going to be Asia Pacific if they catch. But one thing I would look at too between that Northwest and that Southeast first round matchups is how long, because obviously they're throwing their number ones that game. It would
Yeah.
be how long they threw for, because if they threw where they have to wait, what is it, 5 days?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the pitch counts here. I think if you throw like 50 pitches or whatever, you have to wait like 4 or 5 days or something like that. So that like they're not available for this matchup. It would be the the second, or the, what round is that? The fourth round that you'd be able to get their number ones again. And then you have to worry about, do you try to save them for the possible championship game or not, which I'm not a believer in. I say you throw your studs when you can, because you have to get there first.
Now, don't forget though, we do get a chance to see one of these teams from the losers bracket, quote unquote, make its
The
way in.
consolation bracket,
Yeah, but I mean,
because in the
they're
end,
not
none of
eliminated
these
yet.
kids are losers.
No, but I mean, if we're talking how in other terms for people that can understand it easier, it's more so like a losers bracket. Teams that don't have all lost but are not eliminated yet. So when I say losers bracket, they have lost in this tournament. They just haven't been eliminated yet. These are all elimination games for these teams on the bottom from here on out. This
Yeah,
is where your teams like Mexico and Panama could sneak into the picture here as well, because I know we've talked about Asia Pacific coming out from up top here in the winners bracket, because these guys have basically, all these ones that are left up here have not lost
the
a game yet.
undefeated teams.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But out of this losers bracket, the consolation bracket, Mexico and Panama, just Panama it will grind and grind and grind. So, and Mexico can score runs as they've proven it. And the metro region and the mountain regions are both in there. Um, the,
waiting for the loser of which matchups, the
the lose
L24 and L22.
so game 24 loser would be Southwest or West versus the Metro, and the loser of the Northwest Southeast matchup would go up against the Metro region or the Mountain region. So you're talking, there's a chance Northwest and Southeast could play each other again, or the Southwest and West could play each other again.
Yeah, and that's what I always like about about the Little League World Series too. It's double elimination. So
Yeah.
it's not lose. It'll get to a point of lose and go home,
Yeah.
but if, say, Northwest doesn't quite get the bats rolling against Southeast, there's still a chance for them to meet up again later and get a rematch. Which, as you alluded to, if that's not the game of the whole tournament, who knows? Maybe you can get round two out of that same matchup later on.
Yeah. Well, and so we're not saying that these kids are losers. They're all winners. They all get to play
Play
America's
at one of the
pastime as kids at one of the most iconic tournaments in the entire world. But you're going to see some teams that you wouldn't think down here in this bottom bracket facing elimination and having to fight their way back. And that's what makes baseball great. That's what makes this tournament great.
Mm-hmm. I think out of that, I mean, Mexico is going to be a team to watch out of that bottom part. I feel like just the way that they came. I mean, they were down early against Canada, and they had a couple bases loaded situations that Canada managed to squeak by. But sooner or later, it's just going to, situations like that are going to come back and bite you.
Yeah,
And Mexico managed to punch some through.
And don't forget, they have to face the loser of the Caribbean Latin America games. So,
man.
And then Panama has to face the loser of the Asia Pacific Japan game.
Yeah, so even if Japan were to lose, they could still find their way there.
Yeah. So I mean, we're not taking anything away from these kids. This losers bracket portion of the tournament is still pretty stout. It's going to be stout from here on out too. I mean, that's not going to be easy. They're not going to be easy games. Nothing from here on out is easy to begin with. but a lot of pressure will be on these kids because you're one loss away from elimination, and you've gotten this far, and it's going to be heartbreaking for everybody.
Let there be light.
Yeah, but guess what? You made it there, and it's fun for everybody. It's fun for all of us that watch. It's fun for all of us that aren't watching but are paying attention to it, because maybe you have some ties to some of these regions. Who knows? But it's
Yeah,
fun.
I mean, I always root for the Mid Atlantic teams, especially when they come out of Pennsylvania.
I mean, I
So
root.
if they were still in it, I'd say Media PA all the way.
I mean, I'd root for the United States because freedom always wins, buddy.
USA,
Yeah.
USA, USA.
Well, with that, we're kind of getting towards the end here. Let's take this off here. So, what's your final thoughts as we wrap up this Little League World Series show?
Uh, keep an eye out on these little league teams. We've got, you already had those schedules up there in the brackets. There's games tomorrow. There's games Monday. So it ain't over quite yet. Keep an eye out on everything. In terms of MLB, races are still going on. I'm sure the Phillies are still losing at this point. I haven't had a chance to look. Yeah, still, Jesus. I did get a chance City Field last week. The wife and sister-in-law went to a Jonas Brothers concert that was in Yankee Stadium. So
and let me tell you, Tim's a big Jonas Brothers fan. Don't let him fool you.
I could name none of their songs.
Every album, every song off every album. So don't let him fool you. He said he saw City Field. He went and drove by it on his way to Yankee Stadium to see.
No, I didn't
Jonas
drive
Brothers.
up there. No, I took the subway and risked it like a real New Yorker.
You tourist.
Hey, I didn't wear any Philadelphia gear. I wasn't about to get murdered. But it was the Braves Mets game. And I get to see Strider pitch, so I can finally check City Field off of my ballparks that I visited. Pretty nice stadium up in New York. Pretty nice pair of stadiums up there in the Bronx and in Queens.
Yeah, it's a bucket list item. I mean, I'm potentially going to see Wrigley Field next year over July 4th to see the Phillies play the Cubs at Wrigley, so that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, that would be sick. That's one of the ultimates. That and Fenway are like the two ultimate ones left to do.
Maybe I can do like I did for the World Series and tune in live for you.
There you go. That would be pretty sick. If you can get the Source's adventures around Wrigley, and as he tries to sneak ketchup on a hot dog without getting murdered by Chicagoans.
Hey,
Chicagoans.
I'll wear this just to piss them off.
There you go. That specific blue one.
Hey, maybe it'll be somebody else between now and then.
Never
you don't know that. Maybe I'll bite the bullet and wear a Schwarber jersey just to upset them even more.
You could. You could get the Team USA Schwarber jersey.
No, No, you know what I'll do? I will get a Kyle Schwarber World Series jersey just to prove a point that like he wasn't the reason why the Cubs went to the World Series.
Ooh, those are fighting words there. Man, buddy, go ahead and take us out of here, man. I've said what I've got to say, so.
You can catch me at doing some more racing stuff here. I'm sure you're gonna give us some more baseball updates throughout the week for the Little League World Series and across baseball. Check out the Dukes on Wednesday. They are doing, I believe, the West this week. So for all of you football fans that like the teams out of the West, not many of you, but hey, it's okay. Nobody's perfect. Tune in Wednesday
especially
for
the
that
49ers fans.
Yeah, I mean, hey, maybe we'll get the Wizard on for that one because of the LA Chargers being on there. We will be having probably another interview with Isaac Johnson here coming up soon.
I wanted to ask about that, but I didn't want to spoil anything. So
nope, we're working on some details here. It's working its way out to. Yeah, we're gonna have some stuff to put out regarding that. I won't spoil that much, but we will be sitting down with him again. You can check out all of our other partners. We got Super Kicking It with Steven and Greg. Gotta, because we if you didn't watch the Duke show on Wednesday, we had Steven on there, and he said we're calling it Super Kicking It with Steven ... and Greg. So, yeah. So we got to throw that out there. We got all of our great partners are scrolling down at the bottom there, and State of Basketball will be back at some point with TheOne. And hockey will be coming out very shortly. I know we keep talking about it. I haven't had a chance to post a lot about it, but we're working on the logo.
Been a lot going on.
It's more so United States feuding with Russia because who isn't?
Oh, it's Russia after all, and
yeah,
it's always USA versus Russia versus everybody else. So let's go USA.
But when it comes time to the first show, we'll whether it's just me or if I get any special guest on to tune in to help me out, or I'll just ramble for an hour. I don't care. That would be a topic of discussion on the issues that have been between the United States and Russia regarding hockey.
That's a whole episode in and of itself, right there. Episode 1: USA versus Russia, Cold War 2.
1980 all over again.
Oh God, here we go. Minus the nukes.
Yeah, but with that, I guess this will be it for the World Series Classic for us. I mean, Phillies aren't doing too good, so this might be a turn the TV off early kind of night.
Cut it early. Let's go to bed.
Yeah. 5:30 comes. Well, 4:50 comes early for work at 5:30 anyway. So, but that's it. I am the source. That's Quigs. Quigs, it's been fun. Maybe your partner will soon eventually come back on here. If not, everybody gets stuck seeing me a little bit longer.
Hey, I mean, even when John comes back, you can still come on, man. And it's always better to have 2 talking heads as opposed to 1. So,
I talk way more than I probably need to at times. So, thanks everybody for tuning in. We will obviously have another show coming up here sometime soon. And thanks. And like I said, support all the people down below. They're the ones that make this show and all of our other shows great. And enjoy the little
Vanna White.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic show. Enjoy the rest of the Little League World Series, and we'll see you on another trip